where I'm from and what I did growing up, I did not have but 2 jobs before we got married. And it was working at a nursery, 75 cents an hour. Everybody, that was hard work. And I didn't really have a job. I went to service when I was 18. And I met your mama when I was 20. But up until then, I got out of school and went to work at a nursery and worked my butt off. And June 18th of 1963, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. A friend of mine made me a bet that I couldn't make it through boot camp. He bet me $100 I couldn't make it through boot camp. This was a friend of mine, Larry Logan, from Knoxville, because he had gone through boot camp. He said, "You'll never make it." I proved him wrong, got my $100 and kicked his butt. And then I went to, first thing I went was Cuba. But I wasn't there long. It was maybe a month at the most. And it was just guarding what was going on. I didn't even fire a shot. I got an expeditionary medal for it. Then I went to trying to remember the name of the place. Dominican Republic in '64, where they took over the college and had a skirmish. They captured the students and wouldn't let them out. Something like that movie, Granada. They wouldn't let them out. We had to go get them. We got them. Didn't take long. They gave it up pretty quick. And then I met your mama. July 10th, 1965. Married her December the 5th, 1965.
How'd y'all meet?
On a blind date at East Carolina. Her date didn't show up. And the girl that I was supposed to have a date, her boyfriend, another boyfriend, she was dating the guy that I was going up with. We were double dating. And she talked Diana into coming down and says, "Oh, you'll like this guy. He's a Marine. He's fine. He's a good guy." So we met in July and got married in December the 5th, 1965. Her mama said we could get married if I had orders cut for Vietnam. I already had the orders cut, so her mama didn't know it until I told her. So I was on my way to Nam and I knew it. But they sent you to California for I think it's a 3 or 4 week indoctrination period. I got in California in January 11th, I think. It was just heat orientation because it was hotter in California like Vietnam. But it wasn't as hot as Vietnam. So Vietnam was a good 15 to 20 degrees hotter than California ever was. But they sent us out there just to get the heat oriented. And they put us on perimeter and stuff at night in California around the base. And I got scared out of ever going to sleep again by my sergeant in charge. His name was Sergeant Chino. Badass little Italian. You didn't give him no shit. But he was a little guy. Man, he kicked butt. But anyway, he jumped in my foxhole I went to sleep. And he jumped in my foxhole and scared the crap out of me because he had a knife to my throat. Bayonet. He says, "You won't go to sleep anymore, will you?" And I said, "No, sir."
And this was in the training in California this time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just as we were assigned to him, there was, I think there was 20 or 30 of us. And I wasn't the only one that fell asleep, but he caught seven or eight of them that night. I don't remember what it was.
Out of how many?
Out of about 20.
Wow.
Hey, we were there. We weren't used to the heat, man. They just stick you in a hole, in a 6-foot hole in the ground, and tell you to stay awake, and you'll be relieved in 4 hours. If we got relieved, I didn't know it, because I went to sleep, like 25% of them did. I didn't go to sleep again for a while, until I
Married in December and went
I
straight
was
to
setting
California
in California. I think it was January the 11th and March the 13th. I was setting in Vietnam.
Wow.
In 1st Battalion, 9th Marine, 3rd Marine Division. Oh, I was in 1st Battalion, 6th Marine, 2nd Marine Division while I was in the States. And in 64, I went to Vieques, Puerto Rico. And what we did, this was just a temporary additional, it's called TAD. It's a temporary additional duty. They needed some drivers, and I was in the motor pool in Camp Lejeune. And they sent 6 of us over there to drive the chow boats. What they were refrigerated boats. I mean, refrigerated trucks. But the only way to get to Vieques was on a boat. It was on an LCA, which was transport to get there and back on water, on the way to get to the island. And I was over there for approximately 3 months. And came back to the States, and I don't really remember a whole lot that was going on between there and 65. I know I was still in the motor pool. And I had a wreck in my car, and they took my military driver's license, so they had to change my MOS, which is what is your designated number they put on you. I was a 0351, which is truck driver. They changed me to a 0331, which was flamethrowers and 106 recoilless rifle. And I was in there until I met your mom and we got married. I got to California, and man, all hell broke loose. Got to Vietnam. Nothing like it. I've carried a flamethrower in Vietnam. I went to Vietnam. They changed my MOS.
When you went there?
Yeah. I wasn't able to drive anymore. They took my military driver's license. I still had a driver's license, but they took my military driver's license, which was my fault. I got 3 tickets in a month for speeding.
On base?
No. They were going home and back. I had the record going to Knoxville. It was 8 hours and 10 minutes from Camp Lejeune to Knoxville. And that was quick. And it was a little over 300 miles. And that was through the old way. You couldn't go through interstate. There was no interstate in 65 or 63. So the guys would look for me and charge them $10 up, $10 back. And they knew I'd get them there quick. So then when I got to Vietnam, I was assigned to that outfit. It's 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, 3rd Marine Division, which is called the Walking Dead.
Why?
Because they labeled us the Walking Dead because we went out in front of everybody. And you didn't know when you were coming back. In other words, we went out to see how many was out there and stuff. And it was 193. They call them the Walking Dead. And I can show you in that Sergeant Grit book patches that say 193, the Walking Dead. So, I got knocked unconscious for 3 days by a grenade, but it was not a exploding, it was a concussion grenade. And I was out for 3 days. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They just put me in the med. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I was out for 3 days. When I woke up, I was fine. Nothing wrong, no side effects. Just, I was out for 3 days. So, when I woke up, they put me right back on the line. We had a few people got killed at, I'd say, and within a 6-month period, we had 27 people killed in our platoon out of about 45. We set up a perimeter ambush one night, and we got ambushed. There was only 2 of us didn't get killed out of 11. I was the one, and the guy behind me got wounded. I don't know why I didn't get hit. I did not get hurt, but I was the guy in the front. Whether I was the fastest SOB to hit the dirt when they opened up, I do not know, but I did not get a scratch. But the guy behind me got hit, but he didn't get killed. The rest of them just mowed him down. That hurt. You see all your buddies that you're over there with. And I saw another guy. We were sitting on the side of the river, which it was. He was reading a letter from home, and it was a 3-foot entrenchment that we were sitting in. I was reading the letter, and he was reading the letter, and he got shot in the head. Sniper killed him. All right, I shot at the sniper. I don't know where I killed him. They didn't find any weapons. They didn't find a body. But when I shot him and shot at him, where I was at within a minute after I shot it with a tracer round, the tank opened up and blew away where he was in a little shed. So I don't know where he was in there or where it was a weapon or not. But when we got there, they didn't find any weapons. They didn't find him. He could have went underground with the weapons. Because, man, there's more holes over there than you can shake a stick at. Rat. Underground. Those guys were just like rats. They traveled underground all the time. We found a few other rat tunnels. You blow them up. Shoot fire down them, blow them up. They didn't like that. But we had to wait and see where they came out. Okay. I had a Sergeant Taft that was killed. He was our NCO. His hand got blown off. We had found a rocket, unexploded ordnance, and it was in sort of like a trash pile or something. And sort of like a trash pile. And all of our grenades had tape on them so that it didn't go off in our hands and we didn't pull the pins. But you had to take the tape off to pull the pin. And he thought he threw the grenade on it. And he said, oh shit, it's still taped. And he went back and he blew his hand off. So we called in a medevac, got rid of him. He gave me a match set of 45 pistols, which somebody stole out of my sea bag on the way back. I mean, they were beautiful. Silver plated or nickel plated. They were like George Patton's 45s. But I came back. It was a mess when I came back. Mom will tell you that. I had 87 days to do. And they stuck me on base MPs, which is military police. And my duties were simple. I went in, got my 45, did my 8 hours, got off, and went to where Mama was living in Jacksonville. We had rented an apartment, a duplex for $60 a month. They had half, we had half. $60 a month wasn't bad for Jacksonville. I think our water bill and everything else was $20. That's where that H2SO4 water came in. That crap from Jackson, from Camp Lejeune. The water you couldn't drink. Jacksonville water was rotten egg water. You couldn't drink it. You had to boil it to cook with it. And we had to, and I was bringing water from the base home to drink and cook with, 2 or 3 gallons every day. And now they've found out it's poison. But the VA says I can't get another claim because I'm 100% already.
I know you said that you had a secret mission at one time. You told me a story.
Mekong Delta. Nobody knew we were going. And we hit the Mekong Delta and got our helicopter shot out. And we had to jump in about 20 foot of water with a May West. The water wasn't about 10 foot deep. So we went boom, bounced back up.
What's a May West?
Huh?
What's a May West?
A May West, you never heard of what a May West is?
No.
You ever watched Harm's Way?
Yeah.
Life preserver is a May West. Because it covers your boobs and you put, did it come up here? Covered all the way up and had 2 shoulders. That's a May West. Everybody, if you were on an aircraft of any kind, you had to wear one. So we jumped, and there was about 6, I think it was 6 or 7 of us. We jumped out, and that was about all there was. There wasn't any. We made the only unopposed landing other than getting our helicopter shot out from under us in the Mekong Delta. They shot the motor out, and once we landed, they didn't do anything else. I don't know why they shot the motor out of the helicopter, but they shot us down. And then when we got down and came on, walked in, there was no more action anywhere. That was it.
So you landed and...
We landed the only unopposed landing in the Mekong Delta.
Wow.
And they shot our helicopter down, and we had to jump. We only jumped about 10, 15 feet out of it. He said, I can make it, you can't. So we jumped about 10, 15 foot, up front. The helicopter's only 10 or 15 foot up, so we didn't have to jump 50 feet. So that was a little hair raising. That was it.
Did the pilot make it out okay after that?
He said, yeah, he landed it. He said, I can land it, but you can't. In other words, he had enough he could do it, but there was 6 or 7 people in there, and that's another 1,500 pounds. That when we got rid of all our gear, there was 2,000 pounds gone.
That's pretty cool.
Because you had your backpacks and all your other crap, and your whole bed. You've seen the big packs they carry? That's what we carried. But it wasn't quite so big. It was 2 knapsacks about like that. You carried your bedroll across the top. But it still weighed 60, 70 pounds. Because you had to take your bedroll. Okay. No, we were taken off from Da Nang Air Base, coming back to the States. And Da Nang Air Base was hit with us only about 500 foot up. And they hit the barracks we were in. So we would have been blown away. So that's the only other thing I could think of that might have been something to do with that.
I asked some people on Facebook if they had any questions, and
Oops.
They were very interested. Fred asked, as a veteran of the Vietnam War, compare how you feel the country has done with the current wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
They should pull out.
Leave.
They're not going to win it. They're not going to win it. It's too much politics. And we didn't win Vietnam. The politicians gave it up and said we won it. We didn't win Vietnam. And we're not winning what's over there now. I mean, it's politics. We have a war about every 10 years, don't we? We had Vietnam, which was what, 63 it started. 203, 204, or 63, 64, Vietnam. And this Arabic shit started in what? 207, 208. I meant 90.
Gulf Shield was Desert
Schwarzkopf.
Shield was 90.
Schwarzkopf. Yeah.
So comparing,
Every 10 years, the government needs an out to get rid of all this money they're wasting. And that's what they're doing, putting it worse. I think. That's my opinion. They are just blowing it. If they would leave Trump alone, he might do something, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. But if they would leave him alone, he might do something. But I can't predict anything, can you? But I think a lot of this Democrat and Republican crap is crap. That's what it is. Nobody can get together. Nobody can answer the questions. Democrats are stopping what the Republicans want to do, and the Republicans are stopping what the Democrats want to do. It's just like Trump said, it's a witch hunt. They haven't found anything on him yet to prove that all this crap was crap. So I don't really know, Kenny.
Lori asked if there was anyone that you knew then that you're still in contact with.
There is a couple of the guys that were in my platoon and were hunting people about a year or so ago, and I got in contact with him. And Okay, my corporal, that was my drill sergeant, went to Vietnam as a staff sergeant. And he got out as a major. Well, I knew he was. This guy was Stallone. And he had also jumped. He had his gold wings up here. He worked out. And I knew he was going to do something. Stayed in 20 years and stayed in another 10, come out a major. So it was battlefield commissions. I know another one that got a battlefield commission that didn't make it out of Vietnam. We were in a firefight. We were getting hit from two sides. We had a way out. But he wouldn't give an order to do anything. He got up and run. He didn't make it for it. He was in charge. He didn't make it for it. And he was a E6 that was made a lieutenant. Battlefield commission. He was an office pinky, which is some guy that's in administration, and they put him in charge of a line outfit, which is a grunt outfit, which is what I was in. You go out and get shot and shot at. Okay? So, he screwed up one day, and he, boom, and it was friendly fire.
Friendly fire for him running away, you think? Or?
Friendly fire. I know. For a fact. Friendly fire. Don't quote me.
Too late. You're on camera. Wow.
I don't know what happened. But I do know it was friendly fire. So.
Gotcha.
He got shot by one of his own troops. But I saw him get shot. That's all I can say. What else you got?
Jason asked, what was maintenance like on the flamethrower?
Maintenance? We didn't use them unless we didn't even load them unless we were going out in the field. And maintenance on it was you had to keep your striker. Striker is the matches. And you had 6 of them. And you pull it once, it would light it. And you'd reach back and turn your tanks on. But you only had about 30 seconds. Anywhere from 12 to 20, 25 seconds worth of fuel. And then you took it off and run. If you were in a firefight, the expectancy is less than 30 seconds on an actual firefight. Nobody likes to get burnt. And we used the flamethrowers to burn down the Agent Orange where they put it on the ground to kill the foliage, and we would burn the foliage. We didn't use it for too much other stuff.
Speaking of Agent Orange, that was actually a question later on that I was going to ask. But tell me about that. That was it.
They put it down out of the airplanes. They said they knew where it was going. I don't think they did. But it was to kill the foliage so if we were in a firefight, all this crap out in front of us would be gone so we could see what was going on, see our enemy. And we burn it with our flamethrowers. So therefore, we were in direct contact within 30 feet of Agent Orange, which is what this shit is.
And the fumes and everything.
Yeah. You're using it's petroleum jelly is what you're shooting out of the gun with kerosene, and you mix it in a 55-gallon drum. So, yeah, you mix it yourself. The flamethrowers are empty. When they're empty, you don't, they're just stored. But when you go out in the field or you go out on patrol, I carried a flamethrower. I wasn't the only one. But I didn't have to carry it every time. But that's what screwed up my back and my shoulders. Because it weighed almost 100 pounds, or a little over 100 pounds, and I did weigh about 140. I'm serious. That thing pulled me. That's why I'm sway back. But what else you got?
Vince wanted to know who had the best helicopter pilots.
Navy.
Really?
The Hueys. The Navy's Hueys got us out of shit more than once. The Hueys. You call them the medevacs. Those guys come in blazing, but they had they had 2 or 3 more with them that were guarding the Huey medevacs coming in to pick up the wounded. So there was always more than 1 or 2 helicopters with the one that was landing, and he would land, and then the other one would land.
Lori also wanted to know how similar it was to some of the TV shows. Like, we know MASH was Korea, but it was along the same lines.
Full Metal
Chad
Jacket.
Beach and all of that. Full Metal Jacket was the closest
That and Platoon.
to what it was really like over there.
A lot of it. A mixture. Full Metal Jacket was. I missed Tet. I didn't get Tet. That was before I got there. It was in '63, but it was before I got there. '65. But it was before I got 66, before I got there. I got to Vietnam in '66 when I landed in Vietnam. Not '65, '66. Got married in '65.
Dave asked, did you adapt and improvise in the States as well as you did over there?
No.
Not at all.
You were getting shot at, Kenny. You didn't know where you were going to die 1 minute or another. You ducked a lot. You heard them coming, and if you didn't shoot back, you might not be the one that makes it back. Yeah, we got shot at. I quit counting when I got 21. I had 21 confirmed kills. That's when I quit counting, and that was the first 7 months. That was from March until December.
How do you deal with knowing that?
I don't know how many after that. When I went back over there, we went to the Philippines for Christmas for 30 days. That was our R&R, rest and relaxation, which was a cooling off period for 30 days. We had Christmas, and everybody sent me. Grandma sent me, Ida Mae sent me a rum cake. 2 of us got drunk off of it. I'm serious. Yeah, she put some rum in her cake. But I did spend 30 days, around 30 days in the Philippines. And I'm trying to remember the name of the place. Subic Bay. Cubicbay. And that was the R&R place for the Navy and the Marines. And yeah, we were there at the same time. We got in fights. We had a few fights.
Jenny asked if you learned any Vietnamese while you were there.
I learned enough to make them show me their come viet. This means come here, Kong Goop. Just give me your ID or something. I forget which one's which. but I learned 5 or 6 words, just enough to ask them for what. Because if they didn't have a green card, they didn't have a card, they were considered Vietnamese. Gooks. Or they were considered enemy if they didn't have their cards. If they didn't have their card, the interrogators got it. And these were Vietnamese interrogators, and they would work them over.
She also wanted to know how it was to acclimate to the weather in Vietnam versus California, where they put you to work.
20 degrees hotter. And there's no acclimation. It was hot. It was freaking hot. You got monsoons for 2 months. It's rain and it's still 100 degrees. I mean, your foxhole fills up. You got to drain it. You got to do it with a bucket, because it'll fill up on you every 3 days. I mean, it rained that hard. These little piddly thunderstorms here, they ain't nothing compared to what it did over there. It thunder boomed over there. But it was just water. And it was their monsoons for 3 or 4 months out of the year. And I was in the middle of it. June, July, and August.
She also asked if you got to experience any of the culture in Vietnam while you were over there.
Not a whole lot. We were in a few of the villages, but most of them spoke some English. They would tell us where the bombs and stuff were put in the road at night, and they would leave sticks so we could dig them up without having to worry about somebody getting blown up.
So the villagers put
some of them, just one or.
Speaking of that, you had mentioned when you came back about the baby killer situation. Can you talk more about that? You were telling me. Like the reason they called
nobody wanted us back. They wanted us to die over there, Kenny. They did not want us to come back. I mean, we knew that before we came back. That started in California as soon as we got off the airplanes. They told us not to wear our uniforms, which I didn't have a choice. I had to wear mine when I got Raleigh Durham, but I didn't get a whole lot of flack because there was a few of us on there.
So your return was easier than
most?
most?
Yeah. Because Mama picked me up, we went straight to a motel for a couple of days. And she had clothes, so I changed clothes. So nobody knew I had the uniform.
Anthony asked, what was the best and worst lesson that you learned while over there?
Duck.
Best lesson was to duck.
If you see him, shoot him before he shoots you. But duck.
And was the worst
You hear
lesson?
it, duck. And if you hear a rocket grenade or something else coming in, hit the hole. It's just like that Full Metal Jacket. They had to. That was close. They were ducking in the holes and everything.
What was the worst lesson learned?
I didn't like killing, Kenny, but you had no choice. Kill or be killed. That was just it. So I don't know what else you got written down.
Well, Frank wanted to know if you could, would you want to go back and see the country today?
No. I didn't lose anything in Vietnam except friends. I wouldn't go back. We're still paying them for shit. We're paying them $8,000 for a water buffalo. And water buffalo over there were like dogs. They planted the rice and they fed them, and that was it. And they would attack your ass. They would come get you if they told them to. But yet the little 8, 9, 10-year-old kids could crawl up on their backs and ride them anywhere they wanted to go. But you get close, you better be ready to shoot. And we did shoot a few of them. They wouldn't stop. So that was the water buffalo issue. Water buffalo's good. Fresh meat.
So you actually did eat
Well,
water buffalo instead of
they gave us part of it.
the villagers did?
They gave us enough we could eat supper without it being out of a can.
You've dealt with PTSD. It wasn't called PTSD then, but you deal with it now. And is there anything that you think you could say or advice you could give to other people, new and old, who may be suffering from it because you lived with it for a long time and still are? What is there any advice dealing with PTSD specifically?
There's too many people dying from PTSD because they don't know what it is, really. I mean, PTSD will kill you if you don't control it. And I'm lucky. I've got the pills for it and the medication for it. A lot of them don't. And that's why they die.
What talking about like the homeless vets out there, like
The homeless vets, they should not be homeless. Because the VA, if they get to the VA will pay them something. They don't have to be homeless. I don't know why they are. But if they can get their VA rep, they can get something from the VA. That's what it is. I'm stuck with what I got. I can't ever get rid of it. And it was because of Vietnam.
what is it? The trouble? Other than the disability?
I'm weak. I'm weak all over. Sometimes when I stand up, I can't stand up. But this C. diff didn't have anything to help either. It's still in my system. And it's a badass bacteria. So that's all I can say. I regret ever going over there. I did not want to go, but I had no choice at the time. And if I could have got out of it, I would have probably done it.